You clicked because you want to know who the girl was. The girl who saw the last Viking battle of her homeland. She was not a fighter, not a shield bearer, not a child hidden in a hall. Her name was Rika, and she stood closer to the clash than any warrior wanted. She woke before dawn to a quiet sky. She stepped outside to look for her father and saw shapes on the ridge. Shapes she knew, shapes she feared. Her clan had been safe for seasons, yet this morning brought the end of that safety. She watched men gather shields with shaking hands. She watched her father tie his belt in silence. She watched the line form for the final time. While others prepared to fight, she saw something no one else noticed. Something that changed the fate of her homeland. Before the sun reached the ridge, Rika stepped outside to check the morning air. She expected quiet. She found movement, men on the ridge, shields in hand. She froze. Her homeland had not seen battle for seasons, yet this was the morning it returned. Warriors rushed past her. Her father joined them with a steady walk that hid fear from the young. But Rika saw something the line did not. Something small, something far, something wrong. The last Viking battle of her homeland began with her eyes fixed on danger before anyone lifted a blade. Before we follow her into that morning, settle your breath, ease your shoulders. If your room is dim, let it stay dim. Pull a blanket close if you rest under one. Slow your inhale, slow your exhale. Tell me where you watch from tonight. These stories reach far places, and I enjoy hearing where they land. If you find peace in these quiet Viking tales, a soft like or a gentle subscribe helps more than you think. Leave a calm comment if you want more stories about people history forgot. Now take one last slow breath. Let the hall grow quiet in your mind. Let the morning frost settle around you. Rika stands at the doorway, waiting for you to see what she saw. Rika woke before the roosters moved. She often did. The hall held heat in uneven pockets, warm near the hearth, cold at the walls. She slept close to the warm side. She liked the first breath of morning before the hall stirred. This morning felt different. She sensed it before her eyes opened. The air felt tight. The fire burned lower than it should. Her father always kept the fire steady through the night, yet this morning the coals glowed faint. She lifted herself slowly so she did not wake her younger brother. He lay curled under a fir. His breath moved in short patterns. She touched his foot to check his warmth, then stepped away from the bed shelf. Her father had slept near the door. He often did when he worried, when the wind changed, when traders spoke of movement across the valley, when news traveled of men seeking new land. She stepped past his furs. They lay empty. She stared at the flat spot where he had rested. The worry tightened in her throat. She pushed her hair behind her ear and stepped toward the door. A bit of frost lined the bottom edge. Her father had opened the door already. Rika lifted the bar and eased it out enough for a thin line of morning to slip in. The air stung her cheeks. The sky held soft blue light under a thin cloud. Snow had crusted overnight. She stepped outside with light feet to keep the cold from biting too fast. Her father stood a short distance away near the shed. His back faced her. His shape looked heavy. He stared toward the ridge. She followed his gaze. The ridge stretched across the valley like a sleeping form. Pine covered its far side, and jagged stone lined the top. She had looked at it every day of her life, but not like this. Something moved near the top, more than one shape, slow, organized. She squinted. Her breath hitched. Her father heard. He turned halfway toward her. "Back inside," he said in a low tone. She took one step toward him instead. "Who are they?" she asked. He did not answer. He watched the ridge for a long moment. Then he placed a hand on her shoulder and guided her toward the hall. "Get your brother up, and your mother. Tell them to dress." Her heart thumped. She tried to ask again, but his jaw set in a way she knew well. No more questions. Not now. She slipped into the hall and closed the door. She moved fast to her mother's side and placed a hand on her arm. Her mother blinked and sat up at once. She had always woken fast during troubled seasons. "What is it?" her mother whispered. "Father saw men on the ridge." Her mother rose without a sound. She tied her hair back and pulled on her outer dress. Rika woke her brother next. He rubbed his eyes and frowned when he saw their mother's pace. "Stay close to me," Rika said. He nodded, half awake, half afraid. They stepped outside again. More villagers filled the yard now. Men, women, older children. All stared at the ridge. More shapes gathered there. Now they moved in loose lines. Shields glinted when a cloud shifted. Rika counted at least 20, then more. Her chest tightened. No one spoke. No one needed to. Then the horn sounded from the far hall. Short, sharp, a warning signal. Men poured out of doorways, some still fastening belts, some grabbing shields with frozen fingers, some pulling on boots while running across the packed snow. Rika had never seen them move this fast. She watched her father lift his own shield from the shed wall. It carried deep scars from older fights. He placed it on his arm with steady motions. "Inside," he told her again. She stayed where she stood. He glanced at her. His eyes softened, but only for a moment. "Do as I say." She nodded but did not move. Something on the ridge pulled at her attention. A small shape, alone, slight, moving ahead of the others. She leaned forward. The figure did not walk like the rest, not with heavy steps, not with the stride of a fighter. It moved quick, light, almost searching. She shivered. Her mother gripped her arm. Inside, her mother whispered. Rika backed toward the hall with her mother and brother. Other families did the same. Some children cried. Some older women held them close. A few men who no longer fought stood near the hall doors, ready to guard the young. Rika's father walked to the group of armed men. They formed a half circle. Some spoke in low tones. Some stared at the ridge with tight jaws. Their leader, Einar, raised his arm to quiet them. "They stand on our ridge," he said. "We hold this valley. They know this. We wait for their move." Rika watched the men steady themselves. Then she looked past them again. The small figure had reached the lower slope. It paused near a fallen pine. It crouched. Rika frowned. It looked too small to be a grown warrior. She studied the distance. The shape moved with youth. She felt her heart tighten again. Her father stepped toward Einar. He spoke low. Rika could not hear. Einar frowned. He watched the ridge again. He nodded once and spoke to the men. "Hold the line. No charge. No retreat without my word." The men spread out across the yard. Shields lifted. Spears angled outward. Snow cracked under their boots as they formed a straight front. Rika looked for the small figure again. It had moved closer. It now crossed the lower trees. She pulled away from her mother's grip without thinking and stepped forward. Her mother grabbed her arm. "Stay," her mother said through clenched teeth. Rika lowered her head, but her eyes stayed fixed ahead. Then the figure broke through the brush at the foot of the ridge. Rika sucked in a breath. It was a child, a boy, younger than she expected. He staggered forward. His clothes hung loose on his thin frame. He slipped, caught himself, then limped across the snow. The line of warriors murmured. Some lowered their spears in disbelief. The boy raised his hands with effort. His legs shook. He stood alone in the open yard. Einar stepped forward. "Stop there," he called. The boy froze. He tried to lift his chin. His voice reached them in broken gasps. "They forced me," he said. "They forced us." Everyone in the yard stilled. Even the wind paused. Rika took a step closer without meaning to. Her mother grabbed her sleeve again. Rika's eyes stayed on the boy. His face looked raw, red from cold, bruised near the jaw. His hands trembled. "They follow," he said. "They want your land. They took my clan. I escaped. They killed the rest." Gasps rose from some of the women. Men shifted in anger. Einar walked closer to the boy with slow steps. "Who leads them?" he asked. The boy shook his head. "A man with a broken nose, tall, scar on his wrist. He took our hall at night." Einar's eyes narrowed. "How many fighters?" "More than I saw," the boy said. "I hid. I ran when they slept. They chase me now." Rika turned quickly toward the ridge. More shapes moved fast now. They broke out of the pines, larger bodies, broad shoulders, shields raised, spears ready. Snow flew around their legs. Einar shouted to the line. "Shields up!" Rika's heart pounded. Her mother pushed her back toward the hall. "Inside, Rika, now!" She pulled her brother with her. They backed into the doorway. Other families crowded inside. The hall filled with frantic movement. Women pushed tables against the walls. Older men prepared boiling water. A few grabbed old axes kept near the shelves. Rika did not go to the inner room. She stayed near the doorway to see. Her mother tried to pull her back. Rika held her ground. The enemy reached the yard fast. They spread into a narrow formation. They yelled as they ran. Their breath poured out in harsh bursts. Their leader stood near the center, broad chest, thick beard, and a scar on his wrist. Rika's father stepped into the front row beside Einar. The clash shook the valley. Shields slammed, spears scraped, snow churned under boots. Shouts reverberated through the air. Rika gripped the doorframe with both hands. Her breath shook. She watched her father block a strike, then another. He moved with steady strength, but the enemy pressed hard. They tried to split the line. They pushed with full force. Rika saw her father stumble. She tensed. He caught himself and shoved his shield forward. Relief washed through her ribs. Then she saw the boy collapse in the snow behind the front. He had no strength left. He tried to crawl. Rika looked to the men. They fought with focus. No one saw the boy fall near the side of the hall. Rika pulled her arm from her mother and rushed outside. "Rika!" her mother shouted. She ran anyway. She reached the boy fast. She knelt and grabbed his arm. His skin felt ice cold. He opened his eyes weakly. "Inside," she said. "You must get inside." He shook his head. "They want me." "Then we need to hide you," she said. She helped him to his feet. They staggered toward the back corner of the hall. The snow there piled high. She pushed him into a small shelter formed by a lean-to roof and old barrels. He slid into the shadowed space. "You stay here," she said. He nodded with fading strength. She turned toward the yard again. The clash grew louder. The enemy pushed the line toward the hall. Rika pressed herself against the wall and watched. The scarred leader forced his way through the shield edge. He swung his axe toward Einar. Einar blocked. The leader kicked his shield and knocked him sideways. Rika saw her father rush to fill the gap. He slammed his shield into the scarred leader's chest. The leader staggered. The men behind him yelled. They pressed forward. Rika's breath caught again. The leader swung his axe. Her father ducked. Snow flew. The axe hit the ground. Her father struck back with a heavy push. The leader stumbled, but another man grabbed Rika's father's arm from the side. The leader lifted his axe. Rika stepped forward in panic. A spear from Einar shot into the leader's shoulder. The leader dropped his axe and roared. The men behind him faltered. Her father shoved the man who held him and broke free. The line surged. Enemy fighters lost footing on the churned snow. The scarred leader retreated with a snarl. His men pulled him back. Their formation broke. Some tried to hold ground. Some fled. Einar shouted, "Push them! Push them back!" The Vikings of Rika's homeland surged as one. They drove the invaders toward the ridge. Snow shifted under heavy steps. Enemy fighters stumbled up the hill. Some dropped their shields. Some pulled the leader away. Within minutes the ridge cleared. Only broken prints and scattered gear remained. Rika stepped out into the open yard. Her legs shook. The men stood in silence. Their breath spilled in clouds. Her father lowered his shield. Einar rolled his injured shoulder. No one cheered. No one relaxed. The danger still clung to the air. Rika's father walked to her. He placed his hands on her shoulders. "You should have stayed inside," he said. "I helped the boy," she said. His grip tightened for a moment. Then he nodded. "Where?" She led him to the shelter space. The boy lay slumped against a barrel. Her father lifted him gently. The boy tried to speak, but failed. Men gathered. Women came with blankets and warm drinks. Einar stood before the hall and raised his hand for quiet. "This was only the first strike," he said. "They will return. We prepare now." Rika swallowed hard. The boy's warning echoed in her thoughts. "They forced us. They took our hall. They will chase me." She looked at the ridge again. The snow settled over the footprints. But danger waited behind the line of pines. She stood in the cold yard, staring at the place where the last battle of her homeland had begun. Rika did not sleep that night. Few in the village slept. The hall lights stayed warm until late. Women heated broth in iron pots. Men gathered near the outer walls with blades across their laps. Snow drifted in waves across the yard. Every hour, someone stepped outside to watch the ridge. Every hour, Rika followed with her eyes, even if she stayed indoors. She knew the enemy would return. She felt it in her ribs. The boy slept on a thick bed of furs near the fire. His face looked pale in the shifting light. His breathing sounded uneven. Rika sat beside him through the evening. Her father walked past her again and again as he moved between the door and the hearth. He rested a hand on her shoulder once, quiet but firm. "You saw the danger first," he said. "You keep watch well." She lowered her eyes. She did not speak. Praise from him came rarely. When it came, she held it inside. The boy stirred. His fingers twitched. His breath grew fast. Rika leaned closer. He opened his eyes and blinked hard. "You're safe," she said. He swallowed. "Your people fought them." She nodded. "They will fight again." His eyes darted to the doorway. "They follow the strongest. They want new land. They burned our hall. They took my mother. They took all of us. I hid under the storage shelf when they raided our yard." Rika felt her chest tighten. "Did you see survivors?" He shook his head. "No, I heard cries." Then silence. "I ran when they took torches outside." Her father approached. He crouched beside the boy. "How far behind you were they when you fled?" he asked. The boy frowned. "Half a morning. They split to search. A small group chased me. The larger group marched here. They want this valley." Rika's father exchanged a look with her mother, a heavy one. He stood slowly. "You rest," he told the boy. "We will guard you." The boy nodded once and closed his eyes again. Rika placed another fur across his chest. She sat with her knees pulled close. Her brother curled near her side, half awake. "Will they attack when the sun rises?" her brother whispered. Rika did not know. She touched his hair. "We stay inside. We stay close to each other. The fighters stay outside." Her brother nodded and leaned against her arm. Hours passed. The fire sank low, then grew strong again when more wood was added. Heavy boots moved in and out as shifts changed for the watch. Rika's mother dozed upright. Her father stayed near the door with Einar and the older warriors. When dawn broke at last, the sky held a dull blue glow. Rika stepped outside with the group that checked the ridge. She pulled her cloak tight. The cold bit harder than the day before. Wind scraped across the packed snow. Einar walked ahead, his beard frosted at the ends. He lifted his hand to shield his eyes from the glare. Rika followed her father's steps. They reached the edge of the yard and looked toward the ridge. No movement. The trees stood still. Snow clung to every branch. A few broken prints still marked the slope from the day before. "Too quiet," one man said. "They wait," another replied. Einar nodded. "They test us first, then they strike in full." Rika's father asked, "Will they strike before night?" Einar frowned. "Maybe. They want land. They want control. They saw our strength. They will come with more." Rika scanned the ridge again. She felt the same tension from yesterday, but a new sense mixed with it. Something smaller, something closer. She squinted at the lowest section of the ridge. A thin column of smoke rose from behind the stones. She pointed. "There." Her father followed her line of sight. His eyes hardened. "They lit fires," he said. "They stay close," Einar added. "Too close." Rika stepped forward again. Einar turned toward her with surprise. "You have sharp eyes," he said. "Go inside. Tell the boy we prepare." She nodded and ran toward the hall. Her boots slapped against the frozen ground. She pushed open the door. Warm air hit her face. She hurried to the hearth. The boy sat upright now. His hands shook, but he stayed awake. "You saw them?" he asked. "Yes," Rika said. "Smoke. They stopped near the ridge." He shut his eyes tight. "They wait for numbers." Rika felt a knot form in her stomach. "How many did they have when they took your hall?" "More than 30, he said. "And more behind them." Rika exhaled. She stepped back and lowered herself beside the fire. Her brother woke and rubbed his eyes. "Is it time?" he asked. "No," Rika said. "But soon." The morning moved slow. Men sharpened blades with stones. Women brought out salted fish and dried meat, so the fighters had strength. Children stayed near the hearth. Rika lingered near the doorway again. She watched as Einar met with her father and 3 other men. They spoke in hushed tones. Einar tapped the ground with a stick. "They wait here," he said, pointing to the ridge slope. "We hold the yard. We cannot chase them uphill. They want us to climb. We force them to come down." Rika's father nodded. "We keep a tight shield wall." "And we station 2 on each side to watch the flanks," Einar said. Rika felt her pulse pick up. She wanted to hear more, but her mother stepped behind her. "You should rest," her mother said. "I am not tired," Rika said. "Your mind needs calm," her mother replied. "Sit for a moment." Rika obeyed, but her eyes stayed fixed on the door. By midday, the sun reached its highest point, though it barely touched the valley. The cold thickened. Rika stood with a small group near the hall entrance. Her brother tugged her sleeve. "Will father win?" he asked. She did not want to answer. She spoke slowly. "He will fight to keep us safe. Her brother nodded in silence. A shout lifted from the watch point. Men turned sharply. Rika rushed outside again. Warriors lined the yard in seconds. Einar stepped forward. His eyes focused on the ridge. Rika followed his gaze. Enemy fighters moved down the slope. More than before. Many more. Shields covered their left sides. Spears angled outward. Their leader walked near the front. His shoulder bore the old wound from Einar's strike. He held his axe with his uninjured arm. Rika counted quickly. 20, then 30, then more poured out from behind the trees. Her breath hitched. "They have doubled," one man muttered. "No," Einar corrected. "Tripled." Rika's father lowered his shield slowly. "They want to break us fast," Einar raised his voice. "Shields up!" The line formed again, this time wider, this time tighter. Men planted their boots deep into the snow. They pressed shields edge to edge. Enemy fighters reached the midpoint of the slope. Their leader raised his axe and let out a harsh shout. They charged. The ground shook under the force of so many boots. Snow kicked up behind them. Rika felt the vibrations through her legs, even from the hall steps. Her mother pulled her back. Inside now. Rika backed toward the doorway, but stayed within sight. Her brother hid behind her. The first clash erupted like a crack of thunder. Spears stabbed forward. Shields slammed. Men yelled. Snow flew. The two lines pressed into each other with full weight. Rika saw her father brace his shield. A spear struck his side, but hit wood. He pushed back with force. Einar roared orders. "Left side, hold, right side, push!" Enemy fighters tried to wrap around the flank, but older men blocked the path. The leader in the scarred wrist swung his axe wide. Two villagers blocked him at once. He roared and charged again. Rika stood frozen. She watched everything, every movement, every shift. She saw openings no one else caught. She saw weaknesses in the enemy's steps. She saw men tire at different rates, and she saw something else, movement at the far tree line. A second group, smaller, faster. They crouched low and ran around the side, toward the back of the hall. Rika's breath froze in her chest. "They flank us," she whispered. Her mother gripped her arm. "What?" Rika pulled her arm free and ran around the side of the hall. Snow hit her boots. Her breath came sharp. She reached the back corner. 5 enemy fighters moved through the trees. They kept low. They wanted to reach the hall without being seen. Their eyes fixed on the rear doorway, the place where the children sheltered. Rika looked through the gap under the lean-to roof. The boy still hid there. His eyes widened. "They go for the hall," he whispered. Rika stepped forward without thinking. She grabbed a broken shovel handle from the ground. It felt thin and weak in her grip, but she lifted it anyway. The fighters drew closer. 10 paces. 5. Their breaths formed clouds. Their blades glinted in the dim light. Rika's heart pounded so loud she felt it in her ears. One man spotted her. "There!" he shouted. Rika lifted the shovel handle and ran. She did not aim for the men. She ran for the nearest bucket of frozen water. She grabbed it with both hands. Her fingers screamed at the cold. She heaved it upward and threw the ice at the first man. The frozen block struck his knee and sent him stumbling. He fell into the snow with a grunt. The other 4 rushed forward. Rika stepped back. She swung the shovel handle at the next man's hand. He flinched, not from pain, from surprise. She swung again, this time harder. The wood thudded against his wrist. He cursed and dropped his small axe. The boy crawled out of the shelter. "Run!" he shouted. The fighters charged toward them both. Rika pulled the boy to his feet. They ran around the back of the hall. Snow sprayed behind them. The hall wall blocked the enemy's view for a moment. Rika dragged the boy behind the stack of firewood. They crouched. She heard the men breathe heavily. Their boots crunched in the snow. They spread out. "We find them," one said. She held her breath. The boy clung to her cloak. One man turned the corner. He scanned the woodpile. His eyes passed over them once, then again. His face tightened. He stepped closer. Rika's pulse hit her throat. She pressed the boy closer to the wood. Before the fighter reached them, a heavy crack echoed behind him. He jerked forward and fell face first into the snow. Her father stood behind him with the butt of his spear raised. He knelt quickly. "Inside, now!" Rika grabbed the boy and ran for the hall door. Her father and two other men fought the remaining flankers. Steel clashed. Snow churned. Rika burst through the doorway with the boy. Women gasped. Older men stood ready to defend. Rika pushed the boy toward the hearth. Her mother reached her side. "You do not run off again." Rika opened her mouth to speak, but the roar outside drowned everything. The main fight grew louder. Men grunted. Shields splintered. Einar shouted again and again. Rika stepped to the doorway. Her mother grabbed her arm. "Stay," her mother said. "Stay by the children." Rika looked at her mother. Her mother's eyes burned with fear and love. Rika nodded, but her gaze drifted to the yard. Her homeland faced its last battle. She stood in the hall with her breath shaking. The fight raged outside, and the hall shook with each heavy clash. Rika stood near the doorway with her breath tight in her chest. Her mother kept one hand on her shoulder as she moved to calm the children. The sounds outside shifted, at times loud, at times strained. The warriors of the village held their ground, but the enemy pressed with weight that did not slow. Rika leaned closer to the doorframe. She did not cross it. She knew her father would order her back if he saw her, but she needed to see. She needed to know what happened. Men grunted, shields cracked. The yard looked like a churned field, snow mixed with dirt. Blades struck wood, spears scraped shields. Einar barked orders to hold the line tight. Rika watched her father fight one man, then turn to block another. His steps stayed sure, his movement steady, but the enemy fighters worked in fast pairs. When one attacked, the other cut in from the side. Rika scanned the ridge again. She saw nothing new, no fresh groups, no hidden fighters waiting. Only the thick pines and the cold morning air. She let out a slow breath, but her relief lasted only a moment. The enemy broke their own line. Rika's eyes widened. Men split off in twos and threes. They rushed different directions instead of pushing forward as one block. They tried to pull the village fighters into uneven clusters. They tried to split Einar's line. They wanted chaos. Einar shouted, "Keep shape! Do not chase!" His command echoed across the yard. But the enemy ignored their own losses. They darted sideways. They attacked from lower angles. Rika watched the village men strain to keep their formation. Snow flew under their boots. Shields scraped the ground. The yard spilled into scattered fights across the space. Her father left the tight line to defend an older man who slipped. He blocked a spear. He kicked the fighter back, but leaving the line opened a small gap. Enemy fighters rushed toward it. Rika's heart pounded. "Left side!" she shouted without thinking. A woman near the door gasped. Her mother turned toward her in shock. But Einar heard. He turned and spotted the weak point. He bellowed for two men to cover it. They sprinted into place. Her father glanced toward the hall. His eyes met Rika's for a moment. Not anger, not fear, something sharper, something focused. Then he turned back to the fight. Rika held her breath as the clash grew heavier. The enemies circled in small arcs. They drove the village fighters backward, at first slowly, then faster. Rika felt the shift. The home side tired. The enemy pushed harder. A loud crack broke the air. A shield split near the center. Its owner dropped to one knee. The enemy fighter lifted his blade over his head. "No!" Rika shouted before she could stop herself. Her father lunged. He blocked the strike with his shield edge. The metal rang across the yard. He helped the man to his feet and pushed him back toward Einar. The enemy fighter growled and swung again. He pressed hard. He forced Rika's father backward. Their blades scraped. Their boots dug into the snow. Rika's mother pulled her from the doorway. "You stay inside," her mother said. But Rika still listened. Every clash, every shout, every shift of the fight outside. Minutes passed, long, heavy. The battle dragged into a slow struggle of weight and breath. Rika wiped her palms on her cloak. Her heart thumped so loud she thought others might hear it. Then the boy spoke from near the hearth. "They want to break your wall," he said. "They always try to break the wall first." Rika turned. His voice carried strength now. His eyes locked onto hers. "They will not stop," he said. "They want everything. They think you are weak." "We are not weak," Rika replied. He nodded. "But they think you are." Rika stepped toward him. "What do they do next?" He stared into the fire. "They fall back when they tire. Then they pull you toward the ridge. Then others wait to trap you." Rika frowned. "We do not chase." "Your leader knows," the boy said. "But some fighters do not listen. They fought with anger today." Rika clenched her fists. She knew he was right. Some men struck out too far. Some pushed too fast. The enemy wanted it. A deep shout broke the air. It came from the far right of the yard. Rika raced to the door again. She peered out. The enemy leader had charged the right flank with 5 fighters at his back. They hit the side hard. The village line buckled. The right flank collapsed inward. Men fell backward. Some tripped. Some lost balance. Einar rushed toward the gap, yelling for the fighters to close in, but the enemy pressed the weak point with force. Rika's father reached the flank at the same moment. He lifted his spear and drove it at the scarred leader. The leader blocked with his axe. He swung. Rika's father ducked. Snow burst upward. The leader roared through clenched teeth. The scarred man swung again. The axe glared in the light. Rika's father stepped aside and struck the leader's wounded shoulder. The leader staggered. Another fighter grabbed the leader's arm and pulled him back. But the line still sagged. Rika's breath sped up. She felt something shift again, not in the battle, inside her. The enemy worked to split the line. They did not plan to win with strength. They planned to win with chaos. And the village fighters, though skilled, struggled to track every angle. Rika saw every angle. She grabbed a small wooden bucket and stepped outside. Her mother shouted after her. She ignored it. She ran to Einar's side. "Right side weak!" she yelled. "They bend inward!" Einar turned in shock. He stared at her. Then he looked to the right. He saw the pressure he had missed while fighting off another attack. He nodded. "Men, shift right!" he shouted. "Close the flank!" The fighters moved. They formed a tighter shape. They lifted shields. They blocked the next rush. The enemy rammed the line again, but this time they hit solid wood. The line held. The leader stumbled as his strike failed to push through. The men beside him faltered. They expected weakness. They found strength. Rika stepped backward before Einar saw her again. She rushed to the hall door. Her mother yanked her inside. "You do not leave this hall again," her mother said, voice sharp but trembling. Rika nodded this time. Her chest rose and fell in fast breaths. She stepped back to the window slit and watched. The enemy fighters slowed. Their charge lost rhythm. Their formation loosened. "They tire," she whispered. The boy nodded. "They used half their strength in the first wave. They never last long. They win when the enemy loses shape. Your fighters stay in shape." Rika watched Einar steady the men. He shouted for them to hold tension, but not push forward. He kept the line tight, strong, focused. The enemy faltered again. Within minutes, the enemy pullback began. First, small steps, then bigger. They retreated up the slope. Their leader swung his axe to keep them together. A few fighters limped. Some left blood in the snow. Their breath heaved in heavy bursts. The village fighters did not chase. Rika exhaled long. She leaned her forehead against the door frame. The cold wood soothed her heated skin. The enemy reached the ridge and regrouped in the tree line. They watched the village from a distance before pulling back into the pines. Silence settled slowly, broken only by heavy breathing. Men lowered shields. Some dropped to their knees. Some wiped their faces. Einar stood tall, even though his chest rose sharply with each breath. Her father scanned the yard. He locked eyes with Rika again. He walked toward the hall. Snow clung to his boots. His breath formed thick clouds. He stepped inside and knelt before her. "You do not do what you did," he said softly. "You do not run into a fight. You do not leave the hall." Rika lowered her eyes. "I saw things." He paused. "I know, and your voice helped. But you stay alive. You stay here." Her mother stepped closer. She placed a hand on Rika's father's shoulder. Rika nodded. "I stay." He stood and touched her hair, a rare gesture, one she remembered before each winter storm. The boy approached them slowly. "You fought them well," he said, "but they will return. They always return." Einar entered the hall. He spoke with a low voice. "They retreat now, but they gather behind the ridge. We prepare again. They will not stop until we break their leader." The boy swallowed. "He will not fall easy. He fights like he eats pain." Rika's father rubbed his jaw. "Then we learn how he weakens." Einar turned to Rika briefly. His gaze stayed thoughtful. "You saw things before the rest," he said. "Your eyes read the field." Rika's breath hitched. She did not know what to say. Einar continued. "You stay alive. We need every watcher, every mind." Her mother stiffened slightly, but did not speak. The boy sat on a fir. He pulled his knees close. "They will strike again before night," he said. "They hate retreat. They never end a day in shame." Rika felt cold spread through her ribs. She stepped toward the window again. The ridge glowed with afternoon light. Wind stirred snow above the pines. "They return," she said. Her father nodded. "Yes, and we prepare." The hall filled with motion again. Warriors replaced broken spear tips. Women brought strips of cloth for wounds. Children huddled near the fire. Rika stood still. She stared at the ridge. She felt the weight of what waited behind it. She felt fear. She felt hope. She felt the strange sense that she would see the exact moment the final battle began. She had seen every detail so far. She knew she would see the next one first. The village braced for the next attack. The air grew colder as afternoon slid toward evening. Rika stood near the fire with her cloak wrapped tight. She watched every movement inside the hall. She listened to every sound outside. Even the smallest shift in the wind pulled her attention. Her father walked the hall with steady steps. He checked the door. He checked the window slits. He spoke with the wounded. He tightened loose bindings on spear shafts. Einar stood near the doorway and spoke in short bursts with the fighters who gathered there. His eyes stayed sharp. His thoughts stayed fixed on the ridge. The boy sat alone near the fire. He turned a wooden cup between his hands. His eyes stayed on the flames. He said little, but he listened to everything. Rika watched him for a moment. Then she crossed the hall and sat beside him. "They wait in the trees," the boy said, without looking up. "Yes," Rika said. "They wait." "They never strike fast after a retreat," he said. "They strike when the light falls low." Rika nodded. "That time comes soon." The boy's fingers tightened on the cup. His voice dropped. "You saw the flank. You saw the shift before anyone else." Rika kept her eyes on the fire. "I watch, that is all." "That is more than most," he said. Her father approached them. He set a new log on the fire. Sparks rose. The hall lit with warm gold. "You two stay in here when the next wave comes," he said. "You stay near the back wall. You do not move toward the door." Rika raised her chin. "I know." Her father looked at her longer than before. "You watch from here. You speak if you see something worth saying, but you stay inside." Rika nodded with more steadiness. Her father walked away. Outside, the wind turned sharp. Snow hissed off the eaves. Rika moved to the window slit and watched the ridge. The trees stood dark against the fading sky. Light thinned between the trunks. She watched for any shapes, any shadows, any shift. Minutes passed, then more. The hall grew quieter as people held their breath for what came next. Rika's mother handed warm broth to the wounded man from earlier. She placed a hand on his shoulder. The man lowered his head in thanks. Einar stepped inside for a moment. He shut the door behind him. "They gather fast," he said. "They want to strike before full dark." The room stiffened. Rika felt her heartbeat rise. She stared harder at the ridge. Snow drifted across the slope. Einar spoke again. "Their leader changed his shape. He draws the men to the left side, but he hides something. I do not see it yet." Rika leaned closer to the slit. She heard wind. She heard creaking branches. But she sensed something else, too. Something quiet. Something planned. The boy walked toward her. He whispered, "He will not hit the left. He fakes the left so he can strike your weakest point." "Our weakest point is the right," Rika said. The boy shook his head. "Not now. You moved fighters there. You closed that side. They know. They want the center." Rika's breath caught in her throat. The center of the yard held rough ground from the earlier clash. Uneven snow, a few small dips, hard to see, hard to stand steady. She scanned that area. She saw the tracks from the earlier fight. She saw broken branches. She saw the small, dark dip near a fallen log. Her eyes widened. "They push the center," she whispered. Einar turned at once. "You see something?" Rika pointed. "Dark patch, lower ground, small dip. They push men into that first. They knock our center down. Then they split the hall from the yard." Einar rushed to the door. He opened it a crack. He looked where she pointed. The boy stood behind her. His voice stayed low. "They use the dip to break balance. They want your line to fall backward." Einar shut the door. He called for her father. Rika stepped back. Her breath shook. She felt the weight of her words. She felt the hall shift around her. Her father reached them. What did she see? "The center," Einar said. "They strike there." Her father's jaw tightened. "We move to meet them?" "No," Einar said. "We hold the center tight. No one steps forward. No one steps back. We place our surest feet there." He turned to Rika. "How deep is the dip?" "Half a boot," she said. Einar nodded. Enough to break a fighter's stance. Her father looked at her with a new weight in his eyes. Not worry, something else, something sharper than before. The hall returned to motion. Fighters strapped shields, they checked their weapons. Einar called for the center group to shift positions. The wind howled through the gap in the roof. The fire flickered. Rika backed toward the wall. The boy stood beside her. You speak truth, he said. Your father listens, Rika swallowed. I do not want him hurt. He wants the same for you, the boy said. The door opened. Fighters formed a line outside. They breathed mist into the cold dusk. Snow drifted across their boots. Rika held her breath. The trees suddenly moved. Not a slow movement, a burst, a rush. Dark shapes sprinted from the pines. The enemy charged with a roar, their leader at the front, 5 men behind him, then more behind them, a hard, fast wall of bodies. They aimed straight for the center. Rika pressed her hands against the wall. Her heart pounded so loud she felt it in her teeth. Einar's line braced, shields lifted, spears pointed. The enemy hit like a falling weight. The center dipped as planned. The first village fighter stepped backward by mistake. His heel slid, his balance broke. Before he fell, 2 men behind him grabbed his cloak and locked him in place. They forced him upright. They pushed him forward again. The line stayed steady. The enemy hit again, harder. The dip trapped their own lead fighter. His foot slid. His weight shifted. He stumbled. He dropped to one knee. Einar lunged and struck him with the blunt end of his spear. The man fell backward into his own line. Chaos burst behind him. The center held. The boy whispered, "Now they break," but they did not break yet. The enemy leader roared for them to push. He struck the line again and again. His axe tore into a shield. Wood cracked. Splinters flew. The enemy surged. They tried to climb the center. They tried to break the tight stance of the village fighters. Rika watched every shift. Then she saw it. The enemy leader lifted his axe high, too high. His elbow rose. His weight leaned forward. He shifted both feet into the dip. "He loses balance," Rika shouted. Her father heard before the others. He stepped forward. He struck the leader's exposed side with the butt of his spear. The leader lurched. The next fighter behind him stumbled into him. They fell together. The center line surged forward once, only once, enough to break the enemy's stance. Then Einar pulled them back into shape. "Hold!" The enemy leader rose again. He dragged one foot behind him. Pain shot through his stance. He roared in frustration. Rika watched his rage grow. "He knows he falls if he steps wrong again," the boy said. "Then he will step wrong again," Rika said. Outside, the fight reached its height. Snow swirled around the clash. Men shouted. Metal rang. Breath steamed in thick clouds. The enemy leader tried a new angle. He swung low this time. He aimed for the knee of a tall fighter. The tall fighter blocked with his shield edge. The leader stumbled again. His injured foot slipped in the dip. Rika's father stepped in front of him. Their blades met. 1 strike, 2, 3. The leader snarled. Her father pressed harder. Their weapons locked. Their boots dug into the snow. The leader's injured foot slid back. His stance faltered. He staggered. Rika grabbed the window frame and held it tight. Her breath stayed stuck in her throat. Her father twisted his blade. He trapped the leader's axe under his shield. He knocked it aside. The leader stumbled forward. Her father struck his shoulder with the full weight of his shield. The leader fell into the dip. His blade dropped. The enemy fighters froze for a moment. The leader lay on one knee. Snow clung to his beard. His breath tore from him. He looked up at Rika's father with a gaze filled with rage and fear. Her father raised his spear. The enemy saw the moment their leader lost ground. They pulled back fast. They ran. They grabbed their wounded. They dragged the leader away. They vanished into the pines. Silence fell again. Rika's father lowered his spear. He stared at the ridge. His breath shook with exhaustion. Einar raised his hand. "Hold positions! Watch the trees!" Minutes passed. The enemy did not return. Einar turned to the hall. His eyes met Rika's through the window slit. "You saw what we missed," he said. "Again." Rika stepped back from the wall. Her legs shook. Her father entered the hall. Snow melted on his shoulders. He knelt in front of her again. "You stay inside," he said, breath heavy. "But you see what others do not. You watch with a mind sharp as iron." Rika swallowed and nodded. "We need your eyes," he said. "The battle is not done." Outside the hall, the night settled over the village. Snow drifted. The ridge glowed under the last light of dusk. The final battle had not yet begun, but Rika knew she would see it first. Night settled over the village with slow steps. The wind dropped. The trees stood still. The ridge held its silence, but every person inside the hall felt danger gather in the dark. It had weight. It pressed against the walls. It circled the roofs. It waited for the final moment. Rika sat near the fire with her knees pulled close. She watched the flames shift. She thought about the leader who fell in the dip. She thought about the men who pulled him away. She thought about how he looked at her father with rage. She knew he wanted one last strike before dawn. Her father spoke with Einar near the doorway. Their voices stayed low. Their faces stayed tense. The wounded rested. Mothers soothed children. A long silence filled the room. A silence thick enough to break only when someone forced it. The boy sat across from Rika. He turned a small stone in his hands. His eyes watched the floor, not the fire. "You think they strike tonight?" he said. "Yes," Rika answered. "How soon?" Rika listened. She listened to the snow settling on the roof. She listened to the wind brushing past the doorway. She listened to the quiet near the ridge. "Soon," she said. The boy nodded. "You hear what others do not." Rika lowered her gaze. "I hear more when I stop thinking of fear." "That gives you strength," he said. Rika looked at him with surprise. She did not think of strength. She thought of her father. She thought of the fighters. She thought of the hall and the people inside. "I want them safe," she said. The boy's eyes softened. "So do I." Before either spoke again, footsteps approached. Einar stood beside them. "You two stand with the families," he said. "Stay low. Stay behind the support posts. No open space." Rika nodded, but Einar did not move away. He leaned closer and spoke in a softer tone. "You know their ways," he said. "You see the patterns. So listen now. Their leader hurts. He hides the injury so his men follow him. But he cannot run. He cannot strike fast. He needs a trick. One bold move. One surprise. That is all he has left." Rika raised her eyes. "He makes noise on one side. He hits another." Einar lowered his voice even more. "Yes, he wants to strike where he thinks we sleep." Rika thought about the ridge, the left side, the right, the center, the ground, the broken snow, the positions of the fighters, the gaps between the homes. She closed her eyes. She let the whole picture settle in her thoughts. Then she saw it. "They hit the back of the hall," she whispered. Einar's eyes widened. "You are sure?" Rika opened her eyes. "No one watches there. The snow hides their steps. The path curves behind the woodpile. They reach the back wall without being seen." Einar stepped back. He turned at once and crossed the room. He called for her father. The two men moved toward the rear of the hall. They checked the wall. They checked the supports. They checked the ground outside through the smallest crack. Rika stood near the fire again. Her breath pressed against her ribs. She waited. Her father returned. He knelt beside her for the third time that day. "You see what men with blades do not," he said. "You see where the danger hides." Rika looked up at him. "You listen." "And I trust," he said. He rose again and walked toward the door. He moved like a man who understood the storm before it broke. The hall formed a new shape. Fighters shifted to guard the rear wall. Einar placed two men on each side of the mound behind the building. They kept low. They waited in the dark. The children were moved even farther inside. Women gathered blankets. The wounded lay on their sides with warm cloths across their shoulders. The boy knelt beside Rika. "You changed what happens next." Rika heard fear in his voice. "You are afraid." "I watched villages fall," he said. "They fall when leaders refuse to see danger. Your father sees danger through you." Rika held her hands together. She felt her fingers shake, but she kept her gaze steady. Time passed slow. Snow drifted in thin sheets across the roof. The fire cracked and shifted. The hall breathed in one rhythm. Then the moment broke. A sound came from the right side of the hall. A single sharp noise. A shield tapped in the dark. Every fighter turned. A second sound followed. Another tap. Light. Careless. Like someone unsure of his place. The fighters moved toward the right wall. Rika's heart pounded. "It is the trick," she whispered. She rushed toward the back wall. She pressed her ear against the wood. The boy followed and crouched beside her. She listened. The wind stopped. Then she heard it. Steps, slow, careful, heavy with the weight of men who try not to breathe. "They are behind us," Rika whispered. The boy nodded fast. "How many?" Rika listened harder. She counted the crunch of snow, the shift of boots, the soft breath in the cold air. "6," she said. "No, 7." The boy stood and ran to Einar. Rika stepped away from the wall. Her father shouted, "Back wall! Hold it!" Before the fighters reached their new positions, the first strike hit. A loud crack ripped through the wood. The support beams shook. Dust fell from the rafters. People screamed. Rika grabbed the post beside her and held on tight. The enemy struck again. The wall shook. A second beam groaned. Snow fell through the gaps. Her father slammed his shield against the inside wall. Einar pushed beside him. 3 fighters braced their backs against the wood. "Hold!" Einar shouted. Another strike. Harder. The wall bent inward. Rika felt cold air seep through the crack. The hall shook under her feet. She pressed her palms against the post and closed her eyes. "They hit with an axe against the weak board," she whispered. "Third plank from the base." The boy shouted her words to her father. Her father looked down, found the weak plank, and pressed his shield directly against it. Another strike hit. This time, the shield caught it. The blow spread across the center of the beam instead of breaking through. But the enemy outside roared. Their leader shouted orders. His voice cracked with pain and anger. The fighters inside held the wall with all their strength. Their boots dug into the floor. Rika watched everything. She moved along the back wall. She pressed her ear to each part. She pointed where the enemy moved next. "Left!" she shouted. "Shift your shield 2 fingers. He moves to strike low." Her father followed every call. Einar followed too. The fighters matched her words like steps in a pattern. The enemy struck again and again, But they did not break through. The boy stayed at her side. He held her cloak to keep her steady as the wall shook. Then the enemy shifted. She heard the movement. She heard the leader grunt from the pain in his foot. "They turn to the side," Rika said. "They try the corner." Her father moved first. Einar followed. The others slid behind them. The wall corner cracked under the first strike. Rika stepped closer. She pressed both hands against the wood. "Higher," she said. "Hold higher." Her father lifted his shield. The next strike bounced off the higher point. Rika pressed her cheek to the wall. She listened with all her strength. "They break apart," she whispered. "3 on the wall, 4 circle left. They spread," Einar nodded. "They want to split our line." He ran to the left side of the hall and shouted orders. Fighters rushed to that corner. They braced shields. They held spears tight. The enemy hit that side next. 3 blows hit fast and wild. Snow flew from the outer planks. Rika's voice rose. "Lower! They strike low!" Her father pushed a shield down. The blow caught the metal rim. The wall held. For a moment, the attack stopped. Silence. A thick silence. A silence filled with breath and fear and waiting. Rika closed her eyes again. She listened. She heard snow shift. She heard wood crack. She heard the leader's uneven breath. "They step back," she whispered. "But they do not leave." Her father turned to her. "What do they do?" Rika swallowed hard. "They prepare to break the beam." Her father's eyes widened. "Which one?" Rika pressed her hands against the wall again. She moved along the wood. She searched for the faintest knock, the smallest pressure. She found it. 4th beam from the left. Old wood, slight rot, hidden from sight, easy to break with enough force. "There," she said. Her father called the fighters. They rushed to brace the beam. They stacked crates behind them. They pressed shields in layers. Einar stood at the center. He raised his voice. "Hold firm!" The enemy outside roared together. Then the final strike came. The whole wall shuddered. Snow burst through the cracks. The beam groaned so hard, Rika thought it would snap. But it did not. Her father's stance held. Einar's shield locked the beam. The fighters behind him braced their weight as one. The enemy struck again, but their leader's injured foot slid in the snow. His swing weakened. His stance broke. His breath ripped from him. Rika heard it. "He cannot strike again," she said. Einar's face hardened. "He knows." Outside, the enemy murmured in confusion. Their leader tried to stand straight, but stumbled back. He shouted one last order. Retreat. Boots pounded through the snow. Shrill breaths escaped into the cold. The enemy pulled away from the hall. Their footsteps faded into the dark woods. The hall shook for a few more seconds from the echo of what happened. Then silence took the room. Her father lowered his shield. He leaned his head against it. His breath came hard. Einar stepped to him. He placed a hand on his shoulder. "You hold the hall," Einar said. Her father pointed toward Rika. "She holds it." Einar turned. His eyes found her. Rika stood with her hands still pressed against the wall. Her breath shook. Her legs trembled. Sweat ran down her temple, though the hall stayed cold. Her father walked to her. He placed both hands on her shoulders. "You keep us alive," he said. Rika lowered her gaze. "I listen." Her father nodded. "You listen better than warriors with years of fight." Einar approached. "They return when dawn breaks. They try one last push. But you see their tricks. You see their weakness. We will need you again." Rika swallowed. She looked at the families huddled together. She looked at the wounded. She looked at the boy, who watched her with steady eyes. Then she looked at her father. "I am ready," she said, and she meant it. Dawn crawled over the ridge with slow, pale light. The sky held a faint gray tone, thin and cold. The village waited in complete stillness. No one spoke. No one shifted. Every sound mattered now. Rika stood near the back wall again. The air felt different. Heavy. Not with fear, but with something sharper. The enemy would strike one last time. She felt it in the stillness. She felt it in the faint tremble of the snow outside. She felt it in the long, slow breaths of the fighters around her. Her father tightened the leather strap on his shield. Einar checked each fighter with quick glances. The boy stood behind Rika with arms folded tight across his chest. His breath made small white clouds. The wounded lay quiet. The families gathered near the center of the hall. The fire burned low to avoid smoke that might give away shadows. Rika closed her eyes and listened. The ridge held no sound at first. Then she heard it, a faint crunch far away. Then a second, steady, careful, slow. The enemy leader returned with his remaining men. He walked with a limp. Each step dragged slightly, his breath grated. Rika could hear it even through the thick walls. "They come," she whispered. Einar approached her. "Where?" Rika lowered her ear to the wall. She listened to the pattern. The steps spread in a half circle. Some steps dragged. Some steps stayed steady. 5 men on the right, 4 on the left. The leader at the center. They moved slow to mask their numbers. "They widen their shape," she said. "They want us to guess where they strike." Einar nodded. "They want us to weaken one side." Her father stepped closer. "Where do they hide their weight?" Rika listened again. She pictured the ground, the snow, the slope, the places where snow lay thin, the places where it lay deep. She heard a faint scrape, a boot sliding. She heard a soft breath. She heard a spear shaft tap lightly against another. Her eyes opened. "They move to the right," she said. "They wait behind the woodpile. They strike when we move away from the back wall. They think we think they hit the left." Her father nodded once. "We hold the right strong." Einar turned to the fighters. "Shift to the right wall. Keep low. Keep shields close." Rika followed her father to the center of the room again. She knew her part now. She listened. She watched. She warned. The boy stood next to her. "You feel calm." Rika took a slow breath. "I know what they do." The boy nodded. "You see the pattern before it forms." Rika lifted her gaze. "My father trusts me. I trust him." The boy's eyes softened. "Your homeland stands because you see what others ignore." Before she could answer, the first strike hit, not on the right, not on the left, but on the center. The impact slammed into the back wall with full force. Snow burst through the cracks. Dust fell from the beams. The hall shook so hard the fire cracked in its pit. Rika stumbled back. Einar turned. "Center! Now!" He and her father ran to brace the middle wall. Fighters moved fast behind them. Rika's pulse surged. Her thoughts raced. Why center? Why strike center now? The leader hurt his foot. He could not hold balance on uneven snow. The center held the dip outside. The ground there trapped him, unless he filled the dip. Rika rushed toward the back wall. She pressed her palms against the wood. She felt the vibration. The enemy struck again. The blow hit higher than before, stronger. Her breath caught. "They filled the dip," she shouted. "They packed snow over it. The ground is flat." Einar froze. He looked at her with wide eyes. Her father braced his shield with full strength. "They set a trap," the enemy roared again. This time the roar held deeper force. They struck with all their weight. Rika ran along the wall. She listened to the way the blow traveled through the wood. She felt the angle of the impact. She traced the sound. "No!" she shouted. "They hit two beams at once." Einar understood. "They want to split the wall." He called for fighters to divide into two lines. One line braced the left beam. One lined up to brace the right. Rika pressed her cheek to the wall again. Panels shook. Her heartbeat raced. Another strike hit. The hall shook so hard that even the children cried out. Mothers pulled them close. Snow fell from the rafters. The boy stood behind Rika, bracing her shoulders so she would not fall. Rika pushed her ear harder against the wall. "They hit high," she said. "Then they hit low. They want to break the beam from two sides." Her father called the fighters. They adjusted their stance. They lowered shields. They raised others. They braced together. Another blow, harder. The beam groaned. The floor trembled. Rika felt the shift in the wood. The cracks spread. The fibers strained. Her eyes widened. "They weaken the middle beam more than the others," she said. "They strike twice on the center beam, then once on each outer beam. They break the middle first, then they break the hall open." Einar turned. "We need weight on that beam." Fighters rushed to the center. Her father gritted his teeth. "We hold this wall." Rika wanted to help, but she knew her place. She watched the cracks. She listened to the angle of each strike. She tracked the movement outside. The leader's voice rang through the snow. He shouted to hit again. The enemy slammed into the center beam. The hall groaned. Everyone inside jolted. The fire flickered. Dust rained down. Rika shouted, "Left side next." Her father shifted two fighters to that beam right before the enemy struck again. Their shields caught the blow. The wood held. The enemy slammed the right beam next. The fighters braced. The beam cracked, but did not split. Then silence. A terrible silence. Rika's pulse pounded. "They gather strength," she whispered. "This is the last strike." Einar raised his spear. "Brace. Every post. Hold the wall." Fighters pressed together. Shields locked. Boots dug into the floor. Her father pressed his back against the beam. His muscles strained. His breath worked hard. Rika watched him with a tight chest. Then she felt something new. A slight shift in the far left corner. Too soft for anyone else. Too quiet. Barely a breath of sound. Rika ran to that corner. She pressed her ear to the wood. Her eyes widened. "They place a man there," she said. "He waits. He strikes after the others strike. He hits when our wall is weakest." Einar turned. "We need two fighters there." Two men ran to the corner and braced the beam. Outside, the enemy roared again. It came all at once. The center strike, the left strike, the right strike, then the hidden strike. The entire hall shook. The beams creaked. The wall bowed inward. Rika grabbed the post beside her. The boy covered her from falling. The wood screamed under the weight. Her father shouted, "Hold!" The fighters strained with all their strength. Their boots slid. Their arms shook. Their shoulders pressed hard against the wall. The wall bent. It bent more. Rika's breath stopped. Then it stopped bending. The wood held. The wall did not break. An enemy screamed outside. Another fell. Rika heard the leader shout something desperate. His foot slipped. She heard pain in his voice. She heard fear. The enemy struck again, weaker this time. The hall held. Again, weaker still. The hall stood. Then footsteps, fast, panicked, unsteady, boots running through snow, retreat. The enemy retreated down the slope. Their shouts faded into the trees. The leader stumbled. His breath cracked. His men dragged him away. Silence filled the hall for a long moment. The fighters remained pressed against the wall, waiting for the return. But the return never came. Einar raised his head first. He listened. He stepped away from the beam. He moved to the door and opened it with caution. Cold air rushed in. Dawn brushed over the ridge. No enemy shape stood in sight. Only broken snow. Only dropped weapons. Only long rows of deep footprints leading away. "They are gone," Einar said. A soft exhale passed through the hall. Her father stepped back from the wall. His arms shook from the strain. Sweat dropped from his brow. He turned toward Rika. She stood still. Her cloak hung loose. Her hair fell over her shoulders. Her breath came slow. He walked to her. He knelt. "You keep this hall standing," he said. "You keep us alive. You see the battle before it forms. You see danger before it strikes." Rika lowered her eyes. "I listen. The wood speaks." Her father touched her cheek. "You saved us." Einar stepped beside them. He crossed his arms. He looked at Rika with respect stronger than any spoken praise. "You saw the dip," he said. "You saw the feint. You saw the trick on the back wall. You saw the last strike before any of us did." Rika held her breath. She felt heat in her chest. Einar bowed his head to her. "You saw what warriors miss." The hall slowly filled with soft voices. Mothers soothed their children. The wounded breathed easier. Fighters lowered their weapons. The boy stood near the fire. He watched her with quiet pride. Rika stepped toward him. "You warned me early. You helped me listen." He smiled a little. "You would have heard even without me." Rika shook her head. "You stood with me." He nodded. "I stand with you still." Rika looked toward the open door. Snow glittered in the dawn light. The ridge looked calm again. The trees stood still. The village held its breath. Her father placed a gentle hand on her shoulder. "The battle ends today." Rika felt the truth of his words. The last Viking battle of her homeland passed with the morning, and she saw it all. She saw the first shape on the ridge. She saw the first flaw in the ground. She saw the trick behind the hall. She saw the last strike before it hit. She was the girl who saw the final battle before anyone else. And because she saw it, her homeland stood. Soft breath leaves the hall now. The ridge grows quiet. The village settles with new strength. I hope you rest with the same calm. Rika's story ends, but many others wait in the frost and smoke of old lands. Before you leave, take one slow breath with me. Let your shoulders ease. Let your room sit warm. If you enjoy these long Viking stories, a soft like or a gentle subscribe helps keep these halls lit. I also left a free guide of Viking daily life for you next time you visit. Another tale waits for you in the cold north. I will meet you there soon.